Welcome to DPC Pediatrician. We're Dr. Phil Boucher
and Dr. Marina Capella, two DPC
pediatricians
pediatricians who are on a mission to share our love of direct primary care with you.
Welcome to another episode of DPC Pediatricians. Today we're talking about summertime. Now it is almost summertime, and I alluded to this a little bit on the last episode, but I think it's important for us in DPC to be proactive when it comes to summers. In a traditional practice, your summer is your busiest time of year because everybody needs their summer physicals and summer physicals and summer physicals. And in DPC, while that is true that we do have our summer physicals to get through too, panel sizes are so much smaller that oftentimes summer is a slower time period when it comes to visits in the office. People aren't as sick, they're traveling, they're doing all the different things. They're not thinking about you. They know that you're in the wings waiting for them if they have any issues. But I think it's an opportunity for us to think, well, are there different ways that I could grow my practice despite it being summer and people having typically less needs than during the school year when it comes to illnesses or things along those lines. Now, one thing I shared on the last episode was my idea that I've been building out of tune-ups. You can do a tune-up for anything, but for me, I've been doing a lot more ADHD in the past year, work with a lot of families on ADHD. And outside of simply in my previous life as fee-for-service, it was refill, 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 see in 3 months, refill, 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 see in 3 months. I've gotten more in touch or woke about all the different ADHD options and things that we can do out there. And so things like sleep, exercise, nutrition, parenting approaches, school approaches, kind of trying to do a lot of different building blocks to try and help children with ADHD to thrive. And my thought was, well, there's a lot of kids with ADHD out there. And school year is like being at the Olympics. Like every day is bobsledding and synchronized swimming and like all the big demands on them to perform are then. And when do we get better? Well, Olympic athletes do all of their improvements to get to the gold medal in the off season, when the stakes aren't as high, when they are just showing up to practice and putting in the hours at whatever their sport might be. And how can I take that and apply that to kids? Well, kids with ADHD in the summer, let's get some habits in place. Let's figure out our sleep so that when we get into the school year, we can have a better sleep plan. Let's figure out some parenting approaches for after school or evenings or mornings that are helpful. Let's get their nutrition dialed in. Maybe let's check some labs and make sure that there aren't nutritional things that are impacting their success, whether they're on medications or not, and create an opportunity for people to say, hey, this isn't something that all pediatricians offer. If your doctor can do it, great, go see your regular doctor. But if not, we can take care of this and we can help you to put a plan in place so that as the school year starts, things go more smoothly. It's a revenue opportunity for us. It's me getting to practice what I really enjoy taking care of, which is kids with ADHD and helping them and their families to thrive. And some of them will say, yeah, this has been great. We'd like to keep seeing you as our primary care doctor or just for ongoing ADHD management, whatever it might be. So that's kind of one thing that I'm working on. The physician assistants in our office really likes anxiety. So we're going to do the same thing in her realm for anxiety. And what are the things that we can make sure we're putting in place to help a child that's anxious? And I think one of the benefits to this, like no one's getting their kid checked for ADHD in the summer. Like they made it through the school year. It was what it was. Let's see how it goes in October and then we'll decide. But there are a lot of kids that are already out there diagnosed, and it's an opportunity to take them and say, how can we help them to thrive more? So that's been one of the things that we've been putting together in our practice to continue to grow despite it being not as busy.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like that. And I love that this shows how it's a beautiful demonstration of how as DPC physicians, we can continue learning and growing so much, especially because we have more time and we start to explore kind of the deeper levels of illness and different conditions. And so even though you were a very capable practitioner with ADHD kids, like your DPC practice has enabled you to learn even more about it and to develop this really unique approach that you can use to attract more families during the summer. I love that. Because a lot of practices do kind of look at the summer as like, oh, this is just inevitably the slow time of year. There's nothing I can do about it. Although in some ways, some of us accept it. I think I'm going to be more accepting of it this year because I also need a bit of a break and to step back and recover. But for other practices, especially in the beginning, it can feel like, oh my gosh, like, how am I going to make it through these really slow months? So I love that idea. My idea, and I don't know if I'm going to go forward with it this summer, but perhaps I will if I am able to make the pieces work without too much effort on my part, is the truth. But I've had this dream since actually about 2 years ago of having this mental health summer camp for parents and their kids. Now, we know as pediatricians that when it comes to mental health, behavioral health issues, you can't just treat the child and you just can't just treat the parent. There is a dynamic at play that is feeding into it in one way or another, right? And so having the parents and the children come together, maybe just one parent and one child, if whatever works for the family, right? But having it on a Saturday for maybe like 6 weeks in a row throughout the summer and addressing different topics. So maybe like 1 week on the connection between the mind and body, another week on music therapy, another week on breath work, another week on other topics, right? So I think that would be something really fun. And it would just be about 2 hours on a Saturday every week for about 6 weeks. I think it would help parents to see their children in a new way and themselves in a new way, and also children to help make connections between these things that maybe their parent never learned about and hasn't been able to teach them, but they learn together and they grow together and they take home practices and new knowledge and skills that they can enact together. So that's an idea. May or may not happen this year. We'll see.
I love it. Now, this would be a group, right? So
yeah, it would be a group.
I love that. Do you have the space for like a group thing in your new clinic space?
I do. And actually, we have a beautiful backyard that we landscaped with a water feature and a grassy area. So that would be amazing for it. We also have an indoor space, the lobby, that is big enough for maybe a group of like 20-ish, 20 to 25. So we do. And that was one of the things that excited me and why I chose this space that we moved into, because it has the capacity to do group activities like that.
I love that. I think that's such a great idea. And I think to your earlier point before you shared that is that it's okay in the summer to just coast a little bit, right? Because the demands on your time from your patients are going to be less. And I would encourage most people to say, well, I'm going to block out half a day. I'm going to disappear for a day, a week, or something along those lines, and then see how that works. Because I think you'll be surprised. And I'm always surprised when I like take time off and the walls don't fall down, that I was able to step out and be away and recharge or spend time with my family, and things kept going. And I think that even if you're solo doing it all on your own, what you could do is you could block time and just not have that available on your schedule and let people fill in the gaps and experiment and see what happens if you go to the zoo or something along those lines. Hey, I'm out of the office. I'll be back this afternoon at 3. If there's any things that need to be seen, I can see them, but we're going to the zoo right now. I think families will love that. You're taking care of yourself and doing those things with your family. And you can tell your patients in advance. Maybe you send it out in your email newsletter, like we talked about on a previous episode too, of, hey, this summer, Dr. So-and-so is going to be out most of the day on Thursdays. Obviously, if you have an acute issue, you text us, we figure out what to do. But in general, there'll be wide availability on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, so that you can get all of your needs met. And don't forget to book your summer physical. Click this link to book, sort of thing. But then giving yourself that time and seeing how the rest of your week goes when you've given yourself back that time.
In fact, that reminds me of one of the hesitancies that I have about this mental health summer camp is like, I have 1 or 2 trips planned during the summer. And I'm like, well, what if I'm not there that week? But the more I get accustomed to being a practice owner, right, the more I realize that I can't make myself the bottleneck in everything that I do, right? And that's not a really sustainable way of setting up a practice. Obviously, certain things, it's going to be harder than others, but with this mental health summer camp, there are absolutely people that I can call upon to say, hey, you're an expert in this area. You come lead this week while I'm gone that Saturday, and I'll lead 4 of the 6, but then maybe I'll have 2 guests come in and lead the other one. So this is something that's progress on my part as a human being, is like realizing, wait a minute, I don't have to be the bottleneck in everything that I do. I can rely on others for support, just like I can provide support.
Oh, that's such a good lesson, because I feel like my middle name is often Bottleneck. And like I have all these ideas and then they all get stuck at the bottleneck because I'm trying to control too many aspects of them. And if I would just let other people be in charge, then things would get done really well. That came up this week or a couple weeks ago. So my kids did a musical production for school, and there were like, you could buy ads, and they asked if we would buy an ad to just go in their little program. And I said, sure, we'll do it. And then I just forwarded it to my team. They made a beautiful ad in Canva. I jumped in at the last minute, moved a couple of the fonts around, highlighted a word here or there, changed a couple of things, and then we sent it off, and it was perfect. And it was really nice that it was just a good reminder that like you can get those people on your team that can really help to move things forward, or you can rely upon somebody else, and you're really curating the experience rather than having to do all 6 sessions or whatever it might be yourself. You're creating the opportunity for learning and growth to happen rather than being the executor of every single thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. My office manager is actually out right now for 2 weeks visiting her family in Puerto Rico. And right before she left, I was really worried. I thought, she does all the scheduling for immigration medical exams, and she does a lot of the emailing back and forth with certain things. And she helps with the front desk. She does a lot. So I thought, how is my practice going to survive without Erica? And I've been just really pleasantly surprised by how the other members of my team, with me asking them to, of course, I had to trust them. I had to say, hey, I believe in you. I know that you can do this, right? But my plate has not been added to, just very minimally while she's away, because the other members of my team are lovely and they have picked up the extra work. And one of them didn't know how to schedule appointments on the phone, but she figured it out. She's very bright, very capable. And a lot of it was me just kind of stepping back and letting them learn, letting them just take it away. And it's been pleasantly surprising how. Now, that's not to say that every person, I think if you hire good people and you understand what their strengths and their weaknesses are, you know what you can offload to your team so that you create space during slower times like the summer to give yourself a break if you want that.
Love it. Yeah. Well, we would love to hear from you if you have any specific summertime ideas or things that you're doing in practice. You can tag us in the Facebook group. You can share on our Substack page in the comments what specifically you're up to this summer, if you have any growth ideas or any questions that come up. But thank you all for listening, and until next time.